Hello everyone, welcome to Owen's Treats. For today's episode, I wanted to celebrate the start of a new season. I'm not talking about spring, I'm talking about baseball season. Now, if you remember from quite a few videos ago, I made a baseball charcuterie board, and I had all of the baseball classics. I had Cracker Jack, peanuts, um, pretzels, all those kind of things. And basically, I'm doing another variation on that, but instead, I'm going to be making ballpark bars, which are going to be like almost like granola bars, but they're going to have all of the classic baseball snacks in them, and then we're going to decorate it to look like a giant baseball. So we'll see how it goes. I'm adding a few different decoration techniques that I've added to the recipe. So it's supposed to be super simple, super easy. It's a lot of microwaving, so once again, perfect for me. But with that, let's get into the video and let's make our ballpark bars. So to make our ballpark bars, we have a few ingredients here. So we have 5 cups of Cracker Jacks, 2 cups of crushed pretzels, and I crushed these beforehand, but it's super simple, just plastic baggie and rolling pin. And then 1 cup of roasted salted peanuts, 3 tablespoons of butter, 1 10-ounce bag of marshmallows, and then for our decoration, I have red gel food coloring as well as classic vanilla frosting. So with that, let's get into our first step, which is going to be a lot of combining and then microwaving. So with that, let's get into our ballpark bars. So for our first step, it's going to be super simple, and we're just going to be combining our 3 main ingredients, which is going to be our crushed pretzels, our Cracker Jack, and our roasted peanuts. So into a large bowl with our 5 cups of Cracker Jacks, I'm going to add in our 2 cups of crushed pretzels, and then our 1 cup of roasted salted peanuts. And then we're just going to give this a good mix so everything is nice and evenly combined and distributed. So now that we have that all combined, we're going to move on to our next step, which is going to be melting down our marshmallows and our butter. So we're going to move on to that, which is going to be our next step. So with the largest microwavable bowl that I have on hand, we're going to be melting together our marshmallows and our butter. But first, we're going to melt our butter just as is into our bowl. So I'm going to take our 3 tablespoons of butter, and I'm very grateful. Whoever invented the labeling, or at least the measurement on the butter, I hope they're living a good life. They deserve millions. So we have our 3 tablespoons of butter into our bowl, and we're going to melt this until it is fully melted. And then we're going to come back so we can add in our marshmallows. But first, let's melt down our butter. And this will be melted down in our microwave on 30-second increments. So now that our butter is nice and melted in our microwavable safe bowl, we are going to add in our marshmallows now. Now, trying our best with the capability of our bowl, we are just going to see if we can get at least some of these marshmallows coated in our already melted butter before re-putting it back in the microwave. That way it's just going to be easier to mix once it's done microwaving. Okay, so now that we have our marshmallows coated in our butter, we're going to pop this back into our microwave to microwave it for another 60 to 90 seconds or until our marshmallows are just melted. So we are going to pop this back into our microwave. And if you're using a smallish bowl like me, I would say do this on 30-second increments just so the marshmallows don't expand and overflow. But we're going to do 60 to 90 seconds until our marshmallows and our butter are completely melted and homogeneous. So I'm going to put this back into the microwave and let it melt. So my marshmallow mixture has just finished microwaving. And so you might see when it's done microwaving that there's kind of like this kind of pool of butter at the bottom. And you just want to keep on mixing until all that butter is incorporated into your marshmallow. And it should really start looking like almost marshmallow fluff. If it was melted, of course. And it should come out to be this really smooth consistency. and you should be able to make a figure 8 with your marshmallow. Now I don't have good hand coordination, but you get the point. So now we're going to move into our next step, which is going to be combining basically our dry ingredients, if you will, our Cracker Jack, our pretzels, and our peanuts, and we're going to combine that with our marshmallow fluff. So we're going to move on to doing that step, which is going to be combining everything. And I hope I have a big enough of a bowl. So let's move on to our next step. So now for our next step is going to be our combination of our dry ingredients and our marshmallow. So, and then I also have our pans here. Now this is optional, and this is solely based off of an idea that I had. I have some circular 8-inch pans, primarily used for cakes. And my idea was going to be able to shape our Cracker Jack and our marshmallow mixture into the circles and then frost them over and make them into baseballs. With seeing how much I have currently in the form of batter, they might need a nick too. But if you just want to make classic kind of bars or like kind of granola bars, I recommend using a 9x13 pan and then pressing this mixture into that and then just cutting them with a knife once you're done. But whatever the fancy is, I'm going to try my idea and we'll see if it works. But I have the biggest bowl I have on hand, and I have all of our Cracker Jack, pretzels, and peanuts in there, and even then it's a little too small. And then I have our marshmallow mixture, marshmallow and butter mixture. And so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour our marshmallow mixture into our Cracker Jack, pretzels, and peanuts. And I've let my marshmallow mixture cool, not completely. I still want it to be warm, of course, but I don't want it to be scalding hot because that can melt the caramel on the popcorn in our Cracker Jack. So I have it just warm enough where it can still be mixed, but not hot enough where it's gonna melt things together and make things look a little odd. Oh, that's crazy. Okay, I recommend soaking whatever bowl you use to melt your marshmallow in immediately after putting or mixing it or putting it in, because if this cools while the marshmallow is still in there, the bowl is going to be impossible to clean. So I recommend soaking this very quickly. So I'm going to go do that real quick. Okay, so now that our marshmallow is nice, or our marshmallow bowl is washed, or is at least soaking, we're going to mix together our marshmallow mixture and our Cracker Jack, peanut, and pretzel. So I'm going to mix this together until we have everything coated and it's all mixed together. And this might take a while. Okay, so now that we have our mixture completely mixed together, and it did take 2 spatulas and able to do this, we are now going to put this into our pans. So I have some pan cooking spray here to make this easier to get out later, of course. And I'm just going to grease our pan. And I mean thoroughly grease our pan. And I'm going to see if I can fit this all in one pan. I heavily doubt it, but we'll see. So now I'm going to take our mixture out of our pan with the best of our ability. We're going to plop it in. Okay, perfect. So I have our ballpark bars, well, bars, in our 8-inch pans, or if you want to, the 9x13. I'm going to pop this in the fridge until it's cooled completely, and the grease in the pan is going to help that pop out really nice, so we don't have to worry about any mess later. So I'm going to put these in the fridge, maybe let them rest for around 20 to 15 minutes, just until everything's set, and then we're going to move on to decorating. So these are going to go in the fridge, and I have a lot of cleaning up to do, but I think the messier the project is, the funner it is, if that's a word. So I'm gonna pop these into the fridge and then we're moving to our next step. Okay, so now that we let our bars or our mixture rest in the fridge, and it's now completely cool, so now we're ready to decorate. So I have our vanilla frosting in a can and our decorating iced red gel for decorating. So let us pop our we're gonna see how this goes. Pop our bars out of the pan. Perfect. And now we have it out of the pan. We're going to layer with a layer of frosting. And I just let the other one chill in the fridge, and I'm going to cut those up into regular bars. And then I'm going to be decorating this one to look like a baseball. So we have our frosting here, and I have it at room temperature so it's easier to spread. And I'm going to try to make one even layer with our frosting. And it's already, our bars are already have a white color to them because of the marshmallow. So I don't have to make this layer all too thick. I just need it to make an even coating. And this is a lot easier than icing a cake. So if anyone's bad at decorating, this should be pretty easy, because I am very bad at decorating. And I know cakes are very challenging to decorate. So this should be fairly easy. And it doesn't have to look perfect, because it's already a hodgepodge of many different ingredients. Now this is completely optional too. If you just want to do regular bars and not frost them or decorate them, I totally understand that and do that too. But this is just a fun idea I came up with because since it's already in a moldable state, why not make it look like a baseball? So now that we have our nice even layer of frosting, we're going to try our best to make a baseball looking shape with our red icing here. I'm going to pop that open. I'm going to test the thickness of this first. Alright, so now we're going to try piping our baseball. And if it looks bad, we have another one in the fridge so we can always try again. So we're just going to do our best to make a baseball looking shape. And here it is! I think it looks perfect. It's definitely not Pinterest worthy, but I mean, is anything really? Pretty sure all those photos are AI anyways. So here is our finished baseball park balls. Our bars, baseball, park, ball, bars. I will get there eventually. My words are always going to be tongue-tied. So here it is, our finished product. I can't thank you guys enough for joining me in another episode of Owen's Treats. Thank you guys for joining me in another one of my shenanigans. And I hope to see you guys in the next one.